You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
Good morning and welcome to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, and Calvin Butonoff coming to you live from our home at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us. Call or text at 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. It's Friday, so Dan Schaefer is here, Civic Media's political editor and the creator of the multi-award-winning Recombobulation Area. Let's talk a little bit about redistricting and a quote that does not exist. This seems problematic, although I would imagine there's going to be some excuse.
You would think.
Right? The Wisconsin Examiner has this. Henry Regman has the byline, "In redistricting ruling, Annette Ziegler misquotes U.S. Supreme Court."
Yeah.
This goes back to the maps in Wisconsin.
Yeah, so last week, this really absolutely got buried before the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, but the Wisconsin Supreme Court announced that they were taking a major step towards addressing the state's congressional map. There are two cases that are advancing in Wisconsin about the congressional maps. There's one advanced by the Elias Law Group, one by Law Forward, another number of partners. But in this, I don't know, recent Supreme Court decision, Annette Ziegler, the former Chief Justice of the Wisconsin Supreme Court, one of the court's three conservative members, she used a fake quote from the U.S. Supreme Court in what she had written, and she said something that there was, I'm just going to read from this story from Slate. Ziegler quoted a recent Supreme Court decision, Moore versus Harper, for the proposition that state courts' role in congressional districting is, quote, exceedingly limited. There's just one problem. Moore, the case Moore, said no such thing. That quotation appears nowhere in the ruling. To the contrary, Moore held the opposite, concluding that state courts can play a legitimate, meaningful role in congressional redistricting.
Now, I am not a judge. I am not a lawyer. I am only lawyer adjacent. That seems to be a crime to me, especially for a state Supreme Court justice knowingly making up a quote in her decision.
Or just getting it completely wrong. So what happened next was, and I'll just keep reading from this Slate piece because it's a good one. It's not clear how Ziegler's misquotation wound up in the published opinion of a Wisconsin Supreme Court justice. By Wednesday morning, again, this was initially on Tuesday, so the following day. By Wednesday morning, the court had withdrawn the opinion from its website and replaced it with a partial correction without publicly acknowledging the mistake. Yet, this new version doubled down on the first draft's underlying error. It continues to assert that the Supreme Court of the United States severely restricted state courts' oversight of congressional districting, which is not the case. Basically, what happened a few years ago is that they said this should go back to state courts. So she misquoted it and replaced it with something and was wrong on both counts.
And while she's just doubling down, they're doubling down on it now.
Yeah. And so this is seems just like a sign of the overall sloppiness that the right-wing legal establishment in the state has taken with its approach to redistricting all over the place. Like, a couple years ago when there was that big decision that the Supreme Court made to strike down the maps, well, it was for the non-contiguity or like some of these detailed specifics that they got wrong. And so there are continued challenges to the congressional maps because they did things that they got wrong. They invented this least change thing out of nowhere. That was wrong. They have struck that down. So there's all sorts of legal sloppiness happening on the right-wing side all over the place with this. So I think you have to recognize that is a distinct aspect of this. This is not what's happening in California or Virginia or some of these other states that are saying we need to combat what's happening in Texas or whatever else by redistricting our congressional maps. That's not what's happening. What's happening in Wisconsin is that there are legitimate legal challenges to problematic maps that are advancing in a normal legal process way. And there are 2 of them happening. I'm working on a story about the Law Forward Advanced Challenge. That's the legal group based in Madison that propped up a couple of years ago. They're the ones that got the maps overturned a couple of years ago on the state level. Their congressional challenge is not about partisan gerrymandering. Their challenge is an anti-competitive gerrymandering challenge, saying that these congressional maps were drawn to favor incumbents and reduce competitiveness. And so making it so it's easier for those members of Congress to get reelected. Yeah. And we have, such competitive politics in Wisconsin in so many ways. We are the 50-50 state. We are right on the edge of everything, but we don't really have that many competitive congressional seats. I think the third district is obviously the most competitive. Ron Kind represented that for a long time. Derek Van Orden's been there. I think he's beatable under the current maps. But I also think the maps at large have legal problems underlying them in very basic senses. Well, so I think that's the point to consider here. This is not a congressional partisan gerrymandering challenge. There are problems with this when it comes to meeting the standards of the state constitution.
Well, and now my big takeaway is, unfortunately, that the Republicans are not above making things up in order to get their own way. That's not how things are supposed to work. This is not good. This is not good. Mm-hmm. And it's a good reminder also that Wisconsin's redistricting issues go back a long way.
Yes.
This goes back a long way. Not anything to do with what they did in Texas, or you mentioned California and these other efforts. And the one thing that I think is an important distinction between what happened in Texas and California, in Texas, Governor Abbott essentially instituted new maps.
Right.
And said, this is what we're doing.
Right.
In California, Gavin Newsom brought it to the voters and said, here's what we want to do. Do you want to do this or not?
Yeah.
So the voters, actually had a choice about it and actually had a voice about it, which is how it's supposed to work.
And California, you're right, they gave voice to the people, whereas Greg Abbott just allowed the Supreme Court to come in and say, yeah, you can do that. It's fine.
Do it. Go ahead.
The thing, too, is that the problem is that in both aspects of maps, whether we're talking about congressional maps or we're talking about the electoral maps that were fixed in the state legislature, is that both measures are being done to exercise the most, independent, bipartisan, making it just fair.
Yeah.
The problem is that no matter what happens, is that certain individuals, I see at Derek Van Orden, no matter how fair you're trying to make it, he is going to, and a lot of other ones are going to be like, this is not fair. You're trying to upend, you know what I mean? In a pursuit of fairness, in a pursuit of being an actual map that represents the voice of the people, you're going to have people kicking up dust and making a bigger noise out of saying how unfair it is, even though it isn't. This whole congressional map thing, as you said, is trying to favor it's not trying to favor incumbents who already enjoy an anywhere between 85 to 93% reelection rate, but in an attempt to be a fairer option or a fairer design, we're going to have to also deal with people saying incorrect things all the time, and unfortunately, that goes all the way up to the Wisconsin Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm. Republicans always seem to do this when the kind of right wing legal apparatus and all of that. They just play this legal Calvin ball, where they just make up their own rules and do whatever they want and think that everybody's going to go abide by that. Well, it's just you can't do that and then have these sloppy mistakes like this. You lose your credibility.
But it's working on the Supreme Court.
Ugh.
It's working with the Supreme Court, who just decided, again, this snaky shadow docket stuff.
My goodness.
Where they don't even have to justify their decisions. So this maps, the Supreme Court said that now Texas can go ahead and institute these maps, even though it is still working its way through the court system.
Right.
Yeah.
And they could have put a stop to this, but again, without any of them having to come right out and explain why they're going to do this, they just gave him carte blanche to do it.
And I think going back to what you just said, Dan, about credibility, they've proven that if you make a mistake or say something wrong, that there will be almost no follow-up by anybody, by the fact that some of the media is afraid to ask questions, or for the fact that it gets buried in the press because a Wisconsin State Supreme Court justice misquoting a U.S. Supreme Court decision isn't a sexy headline, and we move on. So she doesn't, or they don't have to worry about credibility. And they never do. That's not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's no consequences. There's no recourse. There's no accountability because we don't have time, and the people who are in charge to ask questions don't seem to be asking.
Well, there's one avenue that I think there has been some accountability brought in this, and that's in form of the voters electing different people to the Wisconsin Supreme Court.
Yes.
And I think if you're thinking big picture about just like, okay, how do we which ways should there be a check on Trump? Even if there are Trump voters, I think the check that some people are seeing, and as it has played out in these Wisconsin Supreme Court races, is a legal one. Is that he is just fudging the limits of what he can do legally. So maybe people might like the Trump agenda or whatever it might be, but want him to do it within the laws of the Constitution. And so maybe this is just me theorizing here, but I think that is why some people in Wisconsin who might be Trump voters are also voting for Janet Protasiewicz and Susan Crawford in some of these elections.
Because they wouldn't have gotten elected without some bipartisan support. There's just no way.
Yeah.
Right.
There's just no way.
And I think you make a very, very valid point. I think there are still Trump voters out there who say things of like, well, you have to do this thing within the law, of course.
Right.
Now, we see every day in the headlines, the of course is not even a factor, but I think you're right. There are people out there who voted for the president who still think there are guardrails which need to be applied and adhered to. The problem is that with them being taken away, we have to rely on judges and various, elected officials trying to enforce their own versions of the guardrails to protect the people of Wisconsin, which is why it's very important to vote in 2026.
Vote in every election.
Vote in every election.
Every
But
single one. I know it's not sexy. I don't care.
I think voting's sexy.
I don't
Hey, are you a
care.
voter? What's up, sexy?
It's hot. It is.
Yeah.
Voting is hot, baby.
Yeah.
Everybody who's anybody wants to vote.
Yeah.
Susan from Kenosha listening on WA texting in. If you look back, Annette Ziegler was elected by the right wing. I believe she's part of the Heritage Foundation, the same party that elected Trump.
Yeah.
And Brett from Brown Deer, I've always wondered why the laws couldn't force the maps to follow county lines whenever possible.
There are so many complications when it comes to all of these different things with the maps. And the congressional maps, people have been talking about like, oh, the 3rd district in western Wisconsin or the 1st district. Like if you really zoom out, there's a bunch of problems with our state's congressional maps. And one of them, and as me who a graduate of UW Oshkosh, I pay a lot of attention to the Fox Valley when it comes to statewide politics. The Fox Valley is cut right in half on the congressional map. Oshkosh and Appleton are in different districts. Oshkosh is in Grothman's district and Appleton's in Tony Weed's district.
Makes perfect sense.
Which doesn't make any sense to me.
The
Fox Valley should be all part of one thing.
One thing.
The Fox Valley and Green Bay, I think, should be one district instead of splitting it down the middle.
I think people who live there would probably agree with you.
There you go.
We're going to keep recombobulating with Dan Schaefer, Civic Media's political editor, on the other side, so stay close. You are listening to Matt Nair on Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll be right back.
I did 2 tweets.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Good morning. Welcome back to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, our one, our only Cal Zone on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can join us, call or text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Coming up after the 10:30 news for today's audio sorbet, we're talking Cookie Walk. Lori Leishman is a booster for the Waukesha South Band, and they're having a fundraiser tomorrow in Waukesha. So we're going to talk about the Cookie Walk and how you can help support the Waukesha South Band. We have a couple students who are in the band. Layla and Marcella are going to be joining us as well. Very much looking forward to that. Then we'll wrap up the show as we always do with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today it is the Baby Seal Walks into a Bar edition. Actually, that's all you need to know. That's it.
I'm interested.
That's the whole thing right there. So stay tuned for that. We are recombobulating with Dan Schaefer, Civic Media's political editor and creator of the recombobulation area. There was an election in Texas this week.
Tennessee.
Tennessee, that one too. Yeah. In Tennessee, the Democrat did not win, but she lost by less than she could have.
Another Democratic overperformance in a special election.
In a really red district.
In a really red district. It was a Trump plus 22 district, and she brought the margin down to single digits and lost by 9. And so I think, there was a map that was put out and said, hey, if we make this shift, if we map this shift onto every congressional district, if there's, I think it was like a 12 or 13 point shift in every district, Democrats are going to pick up like 50 seats or something like that, right? And in Wisconsin, it showed like which ones it would be. The local takeaway that I have from this is that regardless of what happens with the maps, I think it's kind of unlikely that anything changes in Wisconsin's maps before the 2026 election. So even under the current maps, I think Derek Van Orden's in real trouble.
Do you?
I do. I think if, he only won by less than 3% against Rebecca Cook
last time
when there was like kind of a red wave, pink wave, however you want to characterize it. But I think Derek Van Orden's in trouble here. And I think he is, was the most vulnerable Republican in Wisconsin. I still don't really know who's going to be the candidate against Brian Stile in the 1st congressional district. That's kind of next up. Stile tends to overperform his district numbers to the top of the ticket anyway.
He's a Paul Ryan clone.
But he's been successful.
Yeah.
Like he's been more successful than the rest of the Republicans and members of Congress. Frankly, I think Democrats should be happy that he's not running for governor because I think he is a good fundraiser and would be a good candidate statewide.
That's a really good point. Yep.
But I think my main takeaway from the Tennessee special election and all of these other special elections that have happened is that the candidates who are in these kind of races with, maybe the margin was less than 5, right, in 2024, all of those candidates are going to be in trouble because I think the political winds are shifting very much in favor of Democrats. And now Democrats could screw this up.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. There's plenty of time for them to blow it.
It's your game to lose.
Yes. Oh, yes.
But I think these results spell real trouble for Van Orden.
My concern is the money. Because ultimately so much of it comes down to cash and funding these candidates. And it just seems to me like the DNC and whoever is controlling the dollars has not been serious about strongly backing a candidate in that district.
You're very right about that. In 2022, when Van Orden flipped the district after Ron Kind retired, the DCCC, the Democratic Campaign Committee, spent $0 supporting Brad Pfaff's challenge in that race.
And Brad Pfaff was a good candidate.
And he was a solid candidate. Like he worked with, he had worked with Ron Kind for a long time and had a lot of connections to the district. He's now a state senator. Like he won there. He's done well. They gave him no support, and he probably overperformed expectations then. They supported Rebecca Cook somewhat last time, but I think this is going to be one of the most important congressional races in the country. I think they need to treat it as such. And whether it's Rebecca Cook or Emily, I'm blanking on her last name. Berg. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Apologies. But I think Rebecca Cook is a really good candidate. So I think if she emerges from the primary, I think she could very well win this race.
I think that the election this year with Elon Musk spending so much money on a judge's race shows that, yes, money does make a difference. But if you have a candidate who brings energy, then they can talk to the people and do the work that maybe the money is not there can do. I mean, yes, I'm not going to say that money doesn't matter. It does. But I think in this moment right now where people are frustrated, and as you said, Dan, some of these candidates are in trouble, especially people like Derek Van Orden, who are nothing but a mouth, nothing but screaming and yelling. There's not a lot of policy. There's not a lot to present to his district. He's got a shiny machine behind him with his commercials and his TV spots. But if you have someone who's going to fire up not just the base, but the people who are frustrated, I think that can give the money a possible, it's not David versus Goliath.
Well, for me, the biggest question is if he would lose, can we actually get him out of the office? Because I think he'll hang on kicking and screaming. It'll be, it was rigged.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that you're going to see a lot more screaming and yelling in 2026 of people saying all of this is rigged. All of this is a joke. We're not leaving. Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
You think there could be some Republican shenanigans after an election result?
I know it
what
seems
could
so
lead you to believe that?
Just shenanigans.
So outside the realm of possibilities.
Yeah.
Where would I ever get that idea?
Now I just hear a podcast called Shedanigans where you just talk about all political.
Oh, Shedanigans.
Or a restaurant.
We got
the recombobulation area is over. Shedanigans
is underway.
now.
There you go. You heard the announcement right here.
We're talking politics, and do you want some jalapeno poppers?
Dan Schaefer, Civic Media's political editor, creator of the recombobulation area. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. Be well.
News is next. Stay with us. You're listening to Matt and Air on Air. Shedanigans on the Civic Media Radio Network. You got something. Greg Mock, Sweet Calby on the board, coming to you from our home at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Coming up in about 15 minutes or so, we're going to wrap up the show, as we always do, with a segment called This Shouldn't Be a Thing. We have an update from yesterday's Tisbet.
Yeah, it's
but the swallowing of the Fabergé egg.
Yes,
there's an update.
Stay tuned, folks.
Yes.
It's exactly where you think it's going.
Pretty much. And also today's Tisbat is Baby Seal Walks into a Bar edition. So stay tuned for that. Right now, though, this is the segment that we call Audio Sorbet, where we talk about lighter things and get away from the news. And we're very, very excited to be joined by two students from Waukesha South High School. Layla and Marcella are here. Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good morning. Yeah, good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. We wanted to talk about the Cookie Walk. This is happening tomorrow, starting at 9 a.m. in the Waukesha South Cafeteria, the annual Cookie Walk Holiday Bake Sale, and this is benefiting the Waukesha South Band. So you are both in band, I assume, girls?
Nope. We
cannot hear you.
We cannot hear you. We're having technical difficulties, folks.
We did a little check before we went on the air, and it was fine. I'm not quite sure. No, now I heard
I can hear one of you.
Oh, can you hear us now?
I can hear you.
Yeah. We can't hear you.
I cannot hear you.
So, Marcella, tell us about the Cookie Walk.
Well, tell us about, first of all, what instruments that you play in the band.
Yes. All right. Okay. So I'm in only jazz band, and I play the piano, and I just recently joined this year. And so far it's been pretty fun for me, yeah.
But it's really important because, again, we talk a lot about the budgets for schools, and budgets are also always tough for schools. And a lot of things end up getting cut, and things that get cut tend to include extracurricular activities, and band is one of those things. And that's why you have this Cookie Walk to help support the band, so you guys can have uniforms and go to parades and do all those things, because all of those things cost money.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's right. I'm just gonna try one thing.
I see. So there's a microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And what
we'll just pass this.
Okay,
perfect.
What instrument do you play?
So I'm in the marching band. I play the clarinet, and in the jazz band, I play the saxophone.
Oh, very
wow,
cool.
Indeed. Nice.
Very,
nice.
very cool. What does this do for you? Why should people care that band exists or jazz band exists? Why should people care?
Well, for me, I think band, I'm a very structured, logical person. I'm like a math person, but music for me really helps me to break out of that and be more creative. And that's why I love music. I love learning new instruments.
That's really a skill. Being able to play more than one instrument, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. What about for you? What does playing an instrument and being part of the jazz band, what does that do for you as a student? Does that make you a better student?
I think it does make you a better student because it gives you something that you can you know, you can go to class and you can have like a community and you can play music, and it's a nice thing for me. I know, because I mean, you were talking about like you're kind of more of like a math whatever person. It gives you like an escape, but it's almost like for me it's like it's really where I feel like I most thrive is when I'm doing things, when I'm playing music, when I'm a part of that. It's a really nice thing. And I mean, you can share that with others, and that's like what the cookie walk is for. So it's like, it's great.
Yeah, so let's talk about the cookie walk. What is involved? How do people get involved? We spoke to Lori last year, and she made it very clear that you should get in line early because it's very popular. What do people need to know to participate in this year's cookie walk?
Yeah, so the cookie walk runs from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. tomorrow. But last year we sold out by like noon at the latest.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
you really want to get there early. We all of our like black shirt families and the community donate all the cookies. We love having everyone donate. It's really nice of them to do so. But you should really get there early to have the best like selection of cookies available.
Is there one person's cookies who always do better than everybody else's cookies? I'm just curious because if I would bring cookies to your cookie walk, I would be like the one where there's 500 cookies left over at the end.
Boy, way to make that about yourself and be mean at the same time, Jay.
I'm just
Great job.
Everybody wants Flo's cookies, you know?
Because she doesn't put coconut on it. Coconut's the devil. It's disgusting.
I'll just say there's some lemon cookies every year those are my favorite every year.
Go for the lemon cookies.
Oh, gotta love lemon
Go
cookies.
For the lemon
I will,
cookies.
yes.
What kind of prices are we talking about, girls? If people want to go to the cookie walk tomorrow, how much are we going to be spending on cookies?
Yeah, it's about $12 a pound for them. So I mean, around that is sort of yeah.
And also, this is for people of various modern technologies. Do you take cash, card? What are the ways of paying?
Yeah, we take both cash and credit card.
Great.
And so when you go to the cookie walk, you'll be provided a container. You fill it up with as many cookies as you want. They weigh it, and then it's $12 a pound.
As many
sweet.
cookies as you want? Challenge accepted. Can I bring a cardboard box?
No, they supply the containers. You cannot bring your own garbage can to fill up with cookies. It's not how it works. That's wonderful, though, that it's been so successful that usually by noon you guys are out of cookies. That speaks very highly to the community and the support that you have in the Waukesha area. That's fabulous.
Yeah, we're so grateful for everyone who shows out every year.
What kinds of activities do you do? I mean, does the marching band, I would assume that you do various parades over the course of the year.
Yeah, so actually on Sunday, we'll be marching in the Waukesha Christmas Parade. And then in the spring, we typically do a Memorial Day Parade. Mm-hmm. Those are very fun.
Are there any other fundraising activities you do throughout the year? I mean, I understand the cookie walk is the thing, but is there anything else you do throughout the year that helps raise money for the Black Shirts Band?
Our biggest fundraiser of the year actually isn't the cookie walk. It's March Fest, our marching band competition, where we host typically around 20 marching bands from both Wisconsin and Illinois. So that's a pretty big thing that happens in September.
Nice.
That is so much more complicated, I think, than people appreciate, right? The formate, when you're talking about that many bodies and getting them to march in various formations. I was color guard when I was in high school, and the pacing, if you have a line of 20 people and you're going to do a circle, it's a very precise thing that arm all moves at the same time, right? You guys must practice a lot.
Yeah. So over the summer we have like band camp that goes a lot, and then we have rehearsals throughout the week, all through the fall.
We are talking to two students at Waukesha South High School. Layla and Marcella is here. If you are joining us on Matt and Air on air, we're talking about the cookie walk that is happening tomorrow. It's at the Waukesha South Cafeteria. They tell you to park in the Tenney Avenue lot and then enter through the Fieldhouse doors. You're going to have lots of company. It starts tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. But even on the press release I have here, it says shop early. The cookies sell out fast.
Especially the lemon cookies, folks.
Go for the lemon cookies before they're all gone.
Yeah. That is my old neighborhood, so I know exactly where that is, and I might go tomorrow, and I'll get. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Are you gonna go cookie?
I might. I've got things. I've got errands to run. I get myself some cookies. I'll treat myself.
Sue from Franklin texting in, listening on WAUK, says not to mention how impressive it is. They march while they play. My daughter was in the marching band. She played the flute. I was always amazed to see 100 plus students working and marching and playing together. Have you ever hit your tooth or tripped or something when you have your mouth on the mouthpiece?
I have one too many times whacked myself in the mouth.
I mean, I can barely walk a straight line, so I can't imagine
doing anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I have a hard time existing in the world as it is. I couldn't imagine trying to walk around people while trying to play an instrument that is not just, plunking on a guitar. So
it's impressive.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just want to let the two of you know and let everyone know on the listening that the link to the Facebook event page for the Cookie Walk will be in our show notes for today. You can go to civicmedia.us/shows, look for Matt and Aaron Air in the second hour, click through, or just search it on Facebook as well. But we want people to go out and not only support this, but if you can support other activities they're doing, because as we said before, the arts are important, as you both, Layla and Marcel, have said. It gives you it allows you to grow as human beings as well as students, and it's important that we fund those however we can.
Well, and it's just, as you said, too, I think there's a different creativity that your brain unlocks under different things. And you mentioned that you're very much a math student. That is very musical, but at the same time, playing music is unlocking an entirely different part of your brain, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you come to the Cookie Walk tomorrow, you'll have the chance to see.
Are you going to perform?
So the jazz band will be performing. If you want to talk about that.
The jazz band is performing. We have Jazz 1 and Jazz 2, and Jazz 1 is included within the class during the day, and that's just those students there. And then Jazz 2 is the other students that still want to be a part of jazz band but can't make it during that time for the class. And so it gives them an opportunity to still be a part of it, even if it doesn't work with their schedules or whatever. And so we'll be having those two groups, and we'll be combining and doing our own things, and we'll be playing. It'll be fun.
That's really cool.
Fantastic. Can you give us a preview of any tunes you might be playing?
One of the songs we'll be playing is called Chili Pepper Christmas. And that one, we have a little tradition where if you bring your kids to the Cookie Walk, they can play along with us in that song.
Okay.
Like little percussion instruments, some shakers.
awesome.
Are there
and
like
such.
bell? Oh, the bell thing where you can shake the bells?
Yeah.
I'm so there.
Jane, they said children, Jane. They said children.
Well, you could always join in.
See,
if I push the 7-year-old out of the way and grab his bells, what are they going to do to me?
You play the bells. I'm going to fill my garbage can full of cookies.
Cookies with all the
I'll
lemon
pay for them.
cookies.
I'm not saying I'm going to take them. I'm saying I'll pay for them. I'm just saying I want a competitive advantage.
And girls, just real quickly before we run out of time, what are your plans when you get out of high school? Do you intend to keep music as part of your life?
Absolutely. So I'm a senior. Next year, I'm planning to go to UW-Madison, where I do plan to audition for the marching band there.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Nice.
I mean, UW Marching Band is fantastic.
Yes, it is.
And what about you?
Yeah, I'm a junior, and I mean, I'm not actually in marching band, so I don't know if I'll take any specifically like band sort of stuff in my future, but I know I'm obviously going to keep like any type of music in my life, whatever it is that I'm doing. I'll make sure, like, I'm going to make sure to prioritize that.
That's
Joining any sort of activity that I have time for, like, yeah.
Gonna keep it up. Good for you.
Good.
Layla and Marcella with Waukesha South High School talking about the Cookie Walk that is happening tomorrow to support the Waukesha South Band. Thank you so much, girls. I hope it's a huge success tomorrow. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us.
Take care. Stay with us. When we return, we'll wrap up the show with This Shouldn't Be a Thing.
Baby Seal walks into a bar edition.
That's what it is.
I'm here to help.
That's all you need to say, too.
Lemon
You're listening
cookies.
to Matt and Air on Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
Good morning. Welcome back to Mattnair on Air. Jane Mattnair, Greg Bach, Dr. Slide on the board, coming to you from our home at Radio Park in Racine, where you can join us. Call or text. The number is the same at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Coming up next week on Monday.
Next week, Jane.
Next week, my last 5 shows.
Oh, boy. This is your penultimate week.
It is.
I love saying that word.
Penultimate? We'll have to work that in a couple times.
Oh, it's going to happen on Thursday.
All right. Aaron Kelly is going to be joining us. We talked to Aaron a couple weeks ago. After, of course, they passed that measure to reopen the government, they slipped in this little thing essentially outlawing all hemp products.
Yeah, that clean CR of theirs.
Yeah, not so clean. Yes, Aaron Kelly owns Kelly's Greens in Wauwatosa, which sells CBD products and hemp products. And they were all the little businesses, and they're all over Wisconsin, taken aback by this and not pleasantly surprised by this. So we're going to talk to Aaron Kelly, find out what is happening now since this occurred a couple of weeks ago. I believe there are pretty much some grassroots efforts underway. Again, we have all kinds of these businesses all over Wisconsin that employ a whole bunch of people.
Well, there's a bipartisan effort to protect in Madison, so we'll see. I'm looking forward to an update from Aaron.
Aaron Kelly joining us on Monday in hour number 2 for an update for Audio Sorbet. All next week, we're going to have special guests. So Pete Schwaba, Night Lights host Pete Schwaba, is going to join us on Monday for a little Audio Sorbet.
There you go.
Right now, Calvin, it is time for...
This shouldn't be a thing.
If you ever find a thing you think this should not be, send it in to Greg and me at janesays at civicmedia.us. JANESAYS, Jane Says at civicmedia.us. By the way, if you want to get in touch with me before I head out the door next Friday, use that same email address.
Yeah, do that.
And I will get back to you. We wanted to do a little update from yesterday's Tisbat.
Tisbat, an update.
We talked about the guy who swallowed that $19,000 Fabergé egg.
So there was some confusion on my part because, as I've said before, I like to be completely surprised by the story. I thought it was a Fabergé octopus.
It is, but it's inside this egg.
So that makes the swallow ability much more understandable.
Less stabby?
Yes, less stabby,
Less
more
stabby,
smooth.
perhaps?
More smooth.
It's still a pretty big egg.
Yeah.
So, this guy in New Zealand decided his brilliant crime would be to swallow this Fabergé egg. Yeah, he didn't get out the store until they nabbed him. Of course, they had to wait. This too shall pass.
Boo.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. And now he will be back in court on December 8th. According to charges seen by the BBC, he was also charged with stealing an iPad from the same jewelry store. Didn't swallow that.
I was going to say that was way hard. I mean, it wasn't even an iPad Mini. It was terrible on
and
his
made away
digestive
with
system.
cat litter and flea control products.
Where's the store? What a store is this?
No, this was from a different address. He was busy.
I was like,
he had a busy week. That was yesterday's update. Today, from the Associated Press, I love the headline. A seal galumps into a bar. Galumps. This is the Associated Press. A seal galumps into a bar. The bartender says, "Grab the salmon." In Wellington, New Zealand, a seal walked into a bar. The creature, apparently lost, curious and well below the drinking age, lodged itself under the bar's dishwasher and showed no interest in coming out.
I get it.
It was Sunday evening when the baby fur seal waddled into this craft beer bar in New Zealand. It is a pet-friendly bar. The co-owner assumed the visitor was a dog until she took a closer look. Everyone was in shock. She says, "Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? What's going on?" A patron grabbed a sweater, tried to usher the baby seal out the back door. Baby seal took off, dashed into the restroom, and then hid under the dishwasher. They unplugged it. Somebody ran home, got a dog crate. They finally got a pizza covered with salmon. They got a pizza out of the fridge, covered it with salmon, and then lured him out from under the dishwasher.
Come here, boy. We'll give you some salmon and cover pizza. It's very, very delicious. At least it wasn't one of those huge bugs. The bugs in New Zealand are disgusting.
Disgusting.
Oh, my God. They're otherworldly. Science does not invent this. This is godless creation.
Once they lured the seal out with the salmon pizza, they had to wait briefly for conservation rangers to arrive. This was their fourth call of the day. They'd been driving around this subdivision trying to find the baby seal.
Oh, well, I'm glad that it's...
Everything is fine.
Yeah.
The seal has been released on a nearby island, considered a safe location because it is a dog-free island. They say it's not unusual for curious baby seals to show up in unexpected places.
And a seal, if you don't already know, has permanent sad dog eyes. So no matter what mood it's in, it's going to look really sad. So yeah, I'm just imagining, oh my God, I'd be like, protect it at all costs.
Give it whatever it wants.
Yeah, exactly.
The restaurant owner now says, running joke, we now have the seal of approval. But I'm pumped.
That's a really good joke there, mate. I love it. I like it. It's a funny, funny joke.
That wraps up today's episode of
This Shouldn't Be a Thing.
Thank you, Greg and Calvin and all of our engineers and everyone at Civic Media, because without you, nothing works.
One more week.
And thank you most of all for calling and texting and watching on the live stream and for listening. It means everything. I hope you find some joy today over the weekend and you get the chance to share it. Keep it right here. News is coming up next. Tom Hartman will have the next keyword for you for our contest that's on the way. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday on the Civic Media Radio Network.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.